Joey Porter Jr., son, if you didn't know, of Joey Porter, out of Penn State. 6'2", 193 pounds. 3 words I've got on him, which has turned into a paragraph, by the way. I've just totally thrown out the 3-word thing. Tall, rangy pressman corner who engulfs receivers at the line, eating up their release and throwing off their timing. But I think there's still some concerns about his kind of foot speed, grabby recovery technique, and ball production that leave him a tier below the top 2 guys for me.
Ball production? Man, I think his ball production's elite.
What is his ball production?
It's not
I've
catching
written that down, which makes me think, oh, okay, right.
It's not catching it. It's
it's not catching.
So it's not ball production.
Well, it's ball production, but it's not
it's
catching
production on the ball. Okay.
It's PBUs, man. It's pass breakups.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Anyway.
Is that not ball production? Maybe it isn't.
I guess maybe it is. I don't know. What? Yeah, I suppose it is. I mean, he's touching the ball. It's a form of ball production. Maybe I should have been clearer. So, what does he do well? I mean, he does a lot well. I don't want to drag the guy. Like I say, he loves to play physical press corner at the line. Only allowed 68 yards and 106 press snaps in 2022, and he is so dominant at the line with his big engulfing frame that a lot of the receivers that he plays against struggle to even kind of escape his grasp. I think they could a quicker, agile receiver might be able to take advantage of him a little bit if they can escape him. If they can run sort of quicker, more dynamic routes straight out, quick slants, whatever. I think there's some question marks there. Well, maybe we'll get into that. But I think for the most part, he's so dominant at the line of scrimmage. And I think this is a little bit more translatable, and I'm sure in your mind, Gav, than the way that Devon Witherspoon does it, just because of his insane length. I mean, his arm length is like 100th percentile, right? I mean, we want to talk about a tying the shoes, standing up guy. It might be Joey Porter.
He's tying his shoes, leaning back.
but his best reps, man, just showing with such powerful pop in his arms, and then just dominant containing of the receiver as they've been totally thrown off the timing. So he looks really impressive at the line. There was some, you might have been concerned about his testing, but he tested off the charts as well. I mean, he ran a 4.46, which is really good for his size. His broad jump was great. The vert wasn't that great. Don't know why, but he's tall, so
9.62 on the RAS scale.
Yeah,
pretty good.
So athletic for a big guy.
1.52 10-yard split.
Whew. If there's a knock to put on Porter's, athletic profile, it might be his change of direction and his hip fluidity and his turnaround movement to get vertical. And obviously, almost no one does the 3-cone anymore. So I don't know how you're really meant to analyze that at this stage. He's not the fastest cornerback in the class, like I say. He's got enough speed, but I think he did a pretty good job of recovering from like missteps and things. From what I saw, I thought he often used his range to sort of make up on the back half of plays, even if he lost a step. He puts a lot of hustle in his game. I'm sure you all saw the play of him hunting down Jackson Smith and Jigba from behind, preventing a TD. So he's clearly got build-up speed. But I got to be honest, I think after watching this, I may have soured slightly just on the idea of picking him at 17. Let me clarify this.
Yeah.
If we picked him at 17, I'd be really happy with it. I'm not. This is not me saying I wouldn't do it, and I'm going to be in. But I just think that if you ask me would I prefer Joey Porter or Van Ness, I'd say Van Ness. If you ask me would I prefer Joey Porter or maybe a top tackle, probably go a top tackle.
Really?
I just think I'm not putting him in the same realm as the first two guys that we spoke about. I think there is a tier change here, and he's not going to be my third cornerback.
Wow.
I think he's got slower feet, which just open him up to these quicker, agile receivers. I spoke a bit about that. I think he had 10 penalties himself in 2021, which he's kind of grabby downfield. I think he uses that when he has lost a step and he can't recover. He does tend to get very grabby.
How much of this is down to his height, though? I mean, you can't have everything, right?
Sure.
I mean, he's a little bit high.
His name's Devon Witherspoon.
No, I don't know about that. He's a great mover, but the length that we're
it's a lot. Yeah,
giving him accolades for it in one column, you can't then take it away. So he's obviously not going to be the same mover.
Right, but it's important. Well, yeah, but you say that. I mean, there's some guys that are these bigger, lankier corners that do have movement ability. We're going to get to a couple in a bit.
I think he's got movement. I just think I think he's a good mover, but it's just his fluidity isn't elite, right? Yeah. I'd say his change of direction is explosive rather than smooth. So he's sort of digital rather than analog. He's got to change his direction from one to the other rather than Chris Gonzalez is just kind of sliding between two directions and it all happens and there's no obvious gear shift. Whereas with Porter there is a bit of a gear shift, but that gear shift you're cranking it straight from fourth down into first gear. Suddenly you're exploding back out again. So I think it's just a different style of movement rather than And the same with Witherspoon. I think that's a different style of movement. I don't think it's that much of a negative, and I'm surprised that you're putting Porter out of the top tier.
I think you've got to point out that if a guy is, a bigger, taller guy with length as a positive, then sometimes that comes with the knock of not being quite the smooth athlete that Gonzalez is. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, Gonzalez is a long guy. He's not as long as Joey Porter, and that's what you're saying. But I still think it's important to point out that this guy doesn't move as well. He doesn't have the quick feet.
Absolutely.
He doesn't have the smooth hips.
But I'm surprised. I'm not saying you're wrong to point it out, of course, but I'm saying I'm surprised you bumped him down a tier because of it.
Right. Okay, yeah, fair enough. I suppose my point is, and maybe it's just a flavour thing. If he wins at the line of scrimmage, which he most often does, I mean, he looks elite, he looks dominant. I think you'll probably get to that. But I just, I worry that in the league where these receivers are just getting smaller and faster, that if these guys can escape him, that he's gonna struggle to follow through on the back end. Now, I'll also say, you mentioned, I think in your initial run up when we spoke about all these guys, that he was this kind of catch point dominator. I wanted to ask you about that because one of the knocks I had him was that I thought for his length and his power that he has, I didn't see him sort of dominating at the catch point. So tell me what you saw.
So I think he wins before it becomes a catch.
Okay.
So he's like jumping up, cutting routes, tipping.
Yes, he does do that.
That thing where you're in trail on a crosser, he's like going for a tackle and tipping the ball away. So there's no chance the guy's catching the ball because he's kind of tackling him and kind of tipping it away. I think that is his elite skill. It's like catch point, like sorcerer. Like he's not dominating through physicality. He's not breaking up hands. He's one step ahead. Like he's seen where the ball is and he's going to stop you catching the ball. And I think that's his elite skill. I think that's what you go for. Like he's very sticky. And it's not just how he sticks on you. He's stuck on you and then he stops you from catching the ball without fouling you. It's like a major elite skill. Attacks the ball, not the hands, basically.
I wonder if it's just a kind of a way we view some of the same plays, because the way you're putting it almost makes it sound like some of the things that I thought were like him, like clinging on for dear life, may have just been actually sort of plays that he'd planned that way.
Because he's baiting the quarterback. Right? He's making it look like he's open. I don't know if it's deliberate or just a fact of his speed profile that he loses a little bit of separation battle and then regains it and meets the ball there. I mean, that's. If he's doing that deliberately, that's like he's having a Hall of Fame career. That's going to be him. He's going to be doing highlights on Monday Night Football, constantly tipping balls away from receivers, and it's going to be incredible. And I'd be very happy for that.
Yeah. And what you got to remember is the bloodlines. We got to mention it. I mean, this is a guy who's going to know how to play football. So we probably can't knock his technique too hard. I mean, he's grown up around it. So. I don't want to knock the guy because I am high on him. I don't know. I could see why there was a slight drop off in the, where people are expecting him to go compared to Gonzalez. Sometimes downfield, I just thought he was clinging on for dear life a little bit, and I didn't see that out of.
I've got to agree. So I felt there were some refs who got a bit handsy.
I felt like if he thought he had lost the rep, his instinct was to start getting physical and pulling back and. I mean, you can clean that up. It's not a major knot. There's a lot of guys that do that in college. So
I think there's worse people in this class for being handsy.
Yeah, there certainly is.
He's not the most handsy man. He's not the.
Well, anyway, Gav. I mean, talk to me a bit more. What do you take his biggest pluses as?
Definitely that the tipping the balls around the receiver is there. I love his dynamism. Like he's a press man corner. Definitely, he's just a guy like how the Steelers use Joe Hayden. You just want to stick him out there. Just say, go and stop this guy from catching the pass. And he'll do that. He's got like a fast back pedal with like energy in it. Like it's just explosive. Not smooth like Gonzalez or scrappy or fiery like Witherspoon. He's just fast and everything's quick and energetic. But his length caps that fluidity like we're saying. And I was saying about the explosive change of direction rather than smooth. I think that sums him up. Like you can't have everything with his height. He's not that flexible in his brakes from his back pedal, But I just think the way he sees what's happening is at a high level. Did you watch the Purdue game? Now I watched this and was like, this guy's the best player that's ever played ever. And then you realise it was the season opener. That was his breakout. 6 pass deflections, nearly had a pick, 6. I mean, a totally dominant performance. So maybe there were some bad games that I needed to watch, but I watched that game and was totally blown away. And then you see the testing, you see the measurables. Height, wingspan, arm length, hand size, all 95 percentile above. Because before this point, you're thinking, all right, there's been a lot of hype. All right, he's Joey Porter's son. Is he really that good? I think he is that good. But the long speeder ticked down from being elite. But 10 split was good. That's what you said, Mike, and that's what you see on tape, right? You see him winning with quick acceleration. You see him losing a little bit in the route, and then you see him winning the rep ultimately with recovery. What you said, Si, or elite ball skills is what I said. So it's like eye of the beholder. Got loads more notes here, but basically, I don't see that many knocks. I mean, you could. I've seen him whiff a couple of tackles where people have broken through his arms. Maybe he needs to add some strength generally in the run game. Maybe the run game is where he's not quite cutting it, and maybe that will make the Steelers think twice about drafting him because they like a guy, the corner that can defend the run. But I mean, I really like him. I mean, very close to being my red star.
What did you think about him sort of on the, if a play goes on, should we say, for a few seconds and he's sort of trailing a guy a little bit deeper, but he's in his pocket? Because that was where I thought his game fell down a little bit because he started to just get I was almost like, just release the dude. Like, I felt like he really needed to remember to just get off him. Like, he was draped, like almost as if he was still playing the press coverage at the line, but he was doing it like 15 yards downfield. Like, he was just draped all over some guys. And I was just like, please, like, you've got him. Like, you're in his back pocket. You don't need to be as like physical with him, like, in the end zone as you were at the line of scrimmage. I don't know. That kind of got my jaw a little bit.
I'm 100% in the camp of Psy. I've got to be honest. It's just these lack of interception. I know you said he could be a Hall of Fame tipper, but he could have 3 interceptions in a 10-year career. I know it's not the only job of a corner, but it is concerning. Like, 1 pick in 4 seasons.
Is he Ike Taylor?
Could be. I am in on the dude. The vibe check is off the charts. Talk about his dad, but he's also got a heavily autistic sister who he calls his inspiration. He's a very kind, generous young man, and like I
wish I'd watched that because I feel like I would have. Oh, sorry. I thought you cut out for me, so I thought you stopped talking.
Oh no!
Are you still talking?
I tend to do that when I talk. I sound like I'm cutting out.
That is an elite skill.
Yeah.
You
do that in real life. That would be amazing.
I know. I was just saying. I wish I'd watched that because I feel like maybe that would have tipped me into the Red Star conversation. You know what I'm like? If his vibe had been off the charts, maybe I would have been gushing.
This dude's vibe is off the charts for sure. But I mean, yeah. In terms of the playmaker, I'm absolutely on the side of Psy. I felt he was hanging off receivers quite a fair bit. Looking at the tape, but I think he's great. I think he's a proper good athlete. It's just interceptions is just a worry for me, and I can't seem to shake it.
Would you take 5 pass breakups a game over 1 interception
every day?
Yeah. I don't know.
But that doesn't negate the fact. I think Matt's got a very valid point that he has bad hands, right? I mean, let's be honest.
No, but is it bad hands, or is he just? He's not going for the glory. He's going for the decisive. You're not going to pass.
Both can be true, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right.
We're on agreement.
It doesn't work for the podcast, Mike. You can't be peacemaker. You need to create conflict and division.
Okay. Joey Porter ran over a cow. Oh, what am I?
No, don't ruin my vibe check, for God's sake.
Right. So, anyone else got anything to say, or should we do ins and outs there?
Yeah, I'm in. That's totally.
Yeah,
I haven't set the line yet.
Well, he's in wherever it is. Well, he's 50 on the big board, so let's just say it at 17 as the Steelers.
17. Yep, I'm in.
I'd have him with that first pick.